economy will shrink in the course of 2023. And then weren't that different compared to many others when it comes to the inflation, because inflation is just...
But restoring price stability when inflation is high can require measures that are not popular in the short term.
I'm Christopher Crystal, and today is Thursday, January 12th, 2023. And these are what our thoughts on what we're seeing in the news, the Swedish press, and thoughts around this. So today in Sweden, we have one of the lead stories would be on the political side. The CenterParty, which was the party that lost the most votes in the last election, or lost the most support, has gained a new leader. And his name is, I believe, Muammar. I can't pronounce it. I'm not sure on his actual first name, but his last name is Demirok. He takes over from Annie Lööf, and the party was the one losing the most ground. And you have new leadership, so we'll see what happens there for them. If they can learn anything from their past and start to follow policies that Swedish citizens want to see, like not closing nuclear power plants and changing your alignment in the middle of your stream, I think that would be something their voters would appeal for. In terms of what's going on with Ukraine and NATO, this is going to be a constant theme again. What you see is that Sweden had been hoping that Germany was going to be sending the Leopard tanks, but it looks like Poland may now be sending the Leopard tanks, and Germany is not going to be sending them at this time. We don't know yet. There were differing stories. I saw on Deutsche Welle that they had said they would not be sending, and then I saw other people saying that they would be sending. The US is going to be sending the Stryker and Bradley troop vehicles, and those are armored vehicles. That's been stated by the Biden administration. And again, you get confirmation, then you get no confirmation. But it looks at this point that there'll be the Bradleys and the Strykers. So we have no sign of peace talks developing, and no chance of that here. Putin is still calling the regions of the Donetsk and so forth Nia Russia. So that's the old Catherine the Great terms that he's using. I'm mispronouncing, of course, but that's an indication of where this is going. So this looks continued to be a long term. And then I think one of the most interesting things is that there's no real comments from the Swedish press about the fact that we had Jerome Powell here in Sweden and making comments. And his comments were about the Fed was going to act fiscally rather than for climate change goals. And really the only kind of statement about this was the immediate announcement by the Swedish government talking about SMRs and the nuclear stance, and how it was going to be a simplified process so we could have increased nuclear and more nuclear running than previously thought. And that's a really important point, and I'll come back to that in a second. But we got the CPI figures out from the US, and so those were pretty much in line with expectations. They're still a little high at 6.5, but we see a continued decline. So I think what people are hoping for is that the Fed will only be raising by 25 basis points. And I think how this translates here in Sweden is that they're hoping for maybe 4 at the top and then start to see a decline. So by the end of the year, we'll have seen decline. So while I'm very negative right now, the market could actually be making a turn in terms of anticipation. We still see low business consumer confidence. We see low business confidence. We see companies still laying off. We see sectors that are tied to the housing market here in Sweden are still being hurt. Flooring companies are laying off people. We see that new homes, actual new builds have not been sold. So there is a lot of uncertainty. And then we have companies like Victoria's Secret in Sweden going out of business or filing for Chapter 11 today. So these are things that are happening that are giving indications that the market is not healthy yet, and the Swedish economy is not healthy yet. We still have very high electricity prices. However, we have seen a very warm winter, at least here in the south. So we've had better electricity prices than were anticipated. So we may get a benefit to this in our inflation readings. And but we're looking at the trade because still food costs are very high. And if you look at the US cost of 6.5, that's off of 2021 figures. And, that's what it's being compared to. So you already had Biden in power for about 8 months and time for their economic policies to take effect. So when you see this inflation figure being measured against, it was still a higher than expected inflation figure. And it's still a high inflation figure if you compare the goal is for 2%. So hopefully we're on track and maybe we can see the rates start to come in. But there will be one more cycle at least, is what the indication is. And you have to just keep an eye. But companies like Ericsson, which settled their bribery trial or bribery scandal, their latest bribery scandal in 2019 with the Justice Department, will continue to be under monitoring. And they put aside something like 2.3 billion US dollars. So they're getting some positive attention, but it's we're still in a very strange phase of the market. So remember, you can always make money in the market if you want to go long, if you want to go short, if you want to play options, if you want to go strategic, or if you want to go long term. These can all make you money, and you can always make money in the market. So hopefully you're subscribed and you're liking the channel, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.